Hello and welcome to Crushing Doubts Q&A every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Now, of course, I say that, but actually we're going to be off next week. Just this next week, I will continue right on rolling on the 20th? No, the 20th is when I'm out. The 27th, I'll be here. I'll be back on the 3rd as well. Hi, Sylvia Sierra. Good to see you on YouTube. Good to see friends joining on Instagram as well. I know people are on Facebook. You can ask questions on any of these forums. Again, we will not be here next week for this particular event. We'll be back on the following week, starting the 27th, and then we'll keep right on rolling. So let's get into it, guys. As usual, I'm going to start with a preloaded question because sometimes that's the only chance we have to get it in there. Let's bring up the first one. All right, here we go. This is from Diane L. She said, when nothing seems to be working, how do I not give up? And what steps could I take to not give up? Ooh, this is a big one to start with. Okay. Listen, I'm going to do my best with this one, but the fact is, each person, when they feel like giving up, when they have hopelessness, it comes in a different way. So I'm going to answer it generally, but you need to know this. When you are feeling the urge to give up in some way, what I want you to do is, first of all, to recognize that the urge to give up is doubt itself. That is doubt coming in there and saying, no, you can't do this, whether it's for Diane or somebody else. And then you got to get specific. Why would you be giving up? Because here's the thing. When it comes to science and logic, it applies to everyone. When it comes to the column system, there are things you can always do. There's also resources available that can always provide help, including coming here. So there's always something to be done. What you want to think about is, why would you give up? Because here's the basic facts. We are all mind-body beings. That's just how we work. We all work that way. All chronic issues can be resolved if doubts can be resolved. So that means getting your lack of certainty, your questions, your confusion, or your fear resolved. If you get those resolved, you will not have chronic issues. That's just the way it works for everyone. So keep working at it. Here's another thing that you could do is you can look at all the success stories not as something where you can say, oh my God, why did they succeed where I didn't? And instead think, well, many of these people thought they couldn't succeed. Many of them did. They all have that kind of experience at some point. Occasionally you'll get somebody who has a book cure that it seemed like a breeze, but even they will probably have some effects later down the line, some kind of symptom. So there's all the reason in the world to hope. All the science and the logic can give you that hope. In the meantime, if you need extra help, I do run seminars that give all the reasons that you should have that hope and can have that hope. We're in the middle of one of mine now. We'll be finishing up later this week. We'll have one again in late January or early February. My membership groups are also available. That's something you can come to. They're cost effective, and you can come once, twice, or 3 times a week. And you can hear stories from other people. You can get answers from me. So remember, you do not have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. Just keep working on getting the answers. That's the number one thing I could say. Keep working on the answers. Okay, that was a long answer to that question, but it had a lot in it. Want to say hi to some people who've joined. Catherine Toomer, good to see you. Scotty Styles, you said hello directly. Good to see you. Positively, I see you on here, and I know you have a question. I'm going to get to it in a second. Sylvia, we already said hi. Mollie Cakes, good to see you. All right, we're caught up to speed. I'm going to get to Sylvia's question, then I'll jump over to you, Whitney. So Sylvia said, I have a moment-to-moment thinking question. I get moment-to-moment thinking when it comes to identifying emotions, but once a migraine is underway, does it also apply afterwards when the pain starts? Okay, let's leave this up there, please. So moment-to-moment thinking always applies, always. You might think that it wouldn't. I can understand that doubt or that question, and that's why you're bringing up Sylvia, which is a great one. But the thing that I found is it's really important to never give up any moment. You don't want to just kind of resign yourself to a moment and think, I'm stuck with it now that the symptom has begun. Actually, it's not true. It's not true. What I would be thinking about once you have a migraine underway, listen, migraines always come from an emotional source first. So I would go back to the emotions column. Doubt is kind of creeping in when it's convincing you, no, there's nothing you can do now. It's already there. That's doubt right there. So get right back to the system. Think about what caused this in the first place, and you can get relief. That's not to say it's going to be easy or will always work, but don't give up on a given moment, because any gain you make, let's say you reduce it by 10% in a given moment. Guess what? The next time you have a migraine, you'll remember that you reduced it 10%. And maybe the next time you reduce it 20%. So try not to waste any moment. Then there are going to be other times where you're just so tired from all the work. You don't have to work so hard at every moment, but just remember, every moment is an opportunity. Okay, let's see. Mandy Shrupai has just joined us on Instagram. Good to see you. Okay, Positively Whitney. Have you seen people with POTS or other dysautonomia succeed with mind-body work alone? Yes, I have. Absolutely. I understand the question, and I think that people with experiences like POTS and other kind of autoimmune stuff, it can make people feel even more doubt. But here's the thing. I have found staggering results to almost everything. We've even found that people who thought that they were, diagnosed with MS and were going to have that for the rest of their lives have gotten rid of that. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying every single person who has MS can get rid of it with mind-body treatment. I don't know everybody. I don't know all the different ways it can play out. But what I do know is that doubt plays such a crucial role, and it can take you a long way in conquering all kinds of things. In specific, if you're worried about POTS, I have seen that cured or at least gotten under control very, very well with mind-body work alone. So, Whitney, follow up on that if you need more information. Okay. Molly says, hi, no burning mouth. Still all good. Yes. Very excited to see that. And went on a mini vacation last week. We drove 18 hours and all was good. When I started feeling off, I would say this will pass, and it always did. This is fantastic, Molly. And first of all, thank you for sharing your success story. Molly's been coming to these Q&As for a while. She's on YouTube sometimes, putting comments on some of the videos. So that's the primary way that Molly and I have interacted. She has a great sense of humor and makes good cake, which I haven't yet tasted, but we're going to work on that. But she said, I thought I could not succeed, and I did. It is so true that we can. But I succeeded when I realized I am not broken. None of you are broken. None of you. You can feel broken, but feeling broken is a symptom. Think of it that way. It's all a symptom. If you keep pushing through, you can get very, very far with this work, and you can resolve anything chronic. You also can start to control the acute aspects of symptoms. Really, that's the great thing about the columns. I always say that, but there's actually multiple great things about the columns if I do say so myself. But each column offers different things that you can make gains in. And that's huge. There's lots of things you can get out of it. So I'm so happy for you, Molly. Really, really happy, and thank you for sharing. Sylvia asked this. I know I've asked you this kind of thing before, not a problem, but it just feels like once a bad migraine is underway, I just have to wait it out. Nothing seems to really help moment to moment. Okay, I hear you, Sylvia, but remember, what's happening there is your doubt is very strong. I used to have that too. I think I may have mentioned this before. When I used to get headaches, for whatever reason, I had it categorized in my mind as a symptom that I would not be able to resolve once it started. I was either going to need to take Advil or go to sleep, and there was no solution for it. And guess what? When I believed that, that's the way it went. I really did not think I could change it. I thought to myself, headaches are just different. They're like once the capillaries are constricted or whatever the physiological experience was, I was not thinking of it as reversible. Well, I have come to see that even that can be changed. I had a certain bias about that symptom. It's a totally understandable bias, especially when it comes to migraines. I don't begrudge that to you at all. But I do want to tell you, if you challenge it a little bit, you can start to get some results. In the meantime, if you start to shift which column you're working in, let's say you're working against doubt and you're just not getting anywhere, and it's just making you feel worse and you already have a migraine, go to your emotions column. Just start to think about what's going on. Just start to think emotionally and see what happens. Okay? If that doesn't work, you can skip over to the power column. Think about where you are in your life. The fact is, the solution lies in one of these columns, always. Every single time with every single symptom. Let's keep working at it, Sylvia. As you see this, with each gain you make, you're going to take a step forward. So let's keep at that. Okay, Schmesley has joined us on Instagram. Hopefully I'm saying these names right, by the way. If I'm not, I apologize. Please just let me know. Okay, Karen Isaacs says, observation. I went on family vacation. This is where many, many symptoms happen on vacation. So, Mollie, great that you were able to go on vacation without it, even if it was a mini one. So I went on family vacation, shared house with loud in-laws. The week prior, so anxious, felt pains. Week of vacation, I was fine. Sunday morning while back home, I woke up with a headache. Okay, so this is an interesting observation. I think, Karen, what I would say then is that this is an example of how our conscious experience doesn't really drive the symptoms. What tends to drive, especially when it comes to emotional symptoms, when it comes to emotional symptoms, we usually are getting driven by things we're not so aware of. So maybe you went on vacation, I don't know for sure, but maybe you went on vacation, you were expecting these loud in-laws to be bothersome to you. And because you were aware of that, it wasn't playing much of a role. But when you went back home, something was going on. I don't know what it is, but remember I say, take your body at its word. Well, these symptoms are telling you something. What that is, I don't know yet. But Karen, why don't we do some follow-up here? Let's take the idea that, the one assumption I say to make, you make sense and your symptoms make sense. So how is it that the week before the vacation, you had these symptoms? The week of vacation was fine. And when you came back, you woke up with a headache. Now, it could be that before you went on the vacation, you had a particular emotional experience that was different than the return. It also could be that they're similar. They seem to be different, though, because there were different symptoms. So what I want to think about it is 3 distinct periods here. Before vacation, during vacation, after vacation, totally different symptom profiles. But something was going on. Let's see if we can figure that out. Susie, good to see you on. Susie Cairns has joined us on Instagram. By the way, a little shout out to Susie. She has a website called You, Me, and a Cup of Tea. You can Google it. She's in the UK. It's a great site where she does audio interviews, based on 4 songs, and you tell kind of the story of your life. I have been through it with her before. We are talking about where we're going to release that interview. I don't yet know how we're going to do it, but I did want to give Susie a shout out about that. Okay. Sylvia has a follow-up here. She says, yeah, so it's like I can go back and figure, this is about the headaches, the migraines. I can go back and figure out what the emotion is and thinking about that, try to acknowledge it, etc. But it still feels like it doesn't help once the pain is really bad. That's because, Sylvia, doubt has taken over. Once you have the migraine and you're in a mindset that it's not going to change, doubt has taken over. I can't say this enough. When you're trying to figure out which column to work with, if doubt is there, it is dominating. If doubt is there, it is dominating. Okay? So first work with the doubt if you can. I'm saying shift over to the other columns if you're not getting anywhere with the doubt column, but start with the doubt column. Let me know if that makes sense. All right. Yeah, by the way, anybody on here, if you want to reach out to Susie, Susie, feel free to provide your information and we'll pass it on. She's really great with this stuff. All right. So Mollie says, Karen Isaacs, that makes perfect sense. I would have had the same aftermath, but that means it is not anything to worry about. Okay, so let me just read that again, make sure I understand. This makes perfect sense. I would have had the same aftermath, but that means it is not anything to worry about. Okay, so yeah, listen, there can be a kind of aftermath effect. Think about it. If you are holding yourself together during the time you expected to have a hard time, then when you finally get home, you can sometimes crash. This happens all the time to people. They go on vacation, suddenly they get sick on vacation. That's when they get their cold. Well, a lot of times that can happen because you were gearing up for the hard part and you were able to manage the hard part. It's kind of like, if you're doing a performance, you hold it together for the performance, but maybe before and after it's harder. I don't know if that's what's going on, Karen, but that's something that you should consider. So Susie says her website, www.you me and a cup of tea. That's all spelled out, one word, .com. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat as well, in case people are interested. You, me, and a cup of tea.com. Okay. There you go. All right. Mollie has this question. Is doubt the same as thinking one is broken? Okay, so I would say, Mollie, the way to think about that is that thinking one is broken is one doubt out of thousands and thousands of them, right? So doubt is anything that holds you back from feeling certain, anything that is a major question about how the mind-body experience works, anything that leads to confusion for you, and any fear that you have. So, you had a variety of those. Everybody has a variety of those. Thinking one is broken, to me, is a form of doubt. Oh yeah, Mollie Cakes. She has a cake business. So if you're interested in cakes, reach out to her. Mollie, let me know if there's some contact information. Happy to provide advertising to the people who, come here, share their stories, ask the questions, are a major part of the community. So if I can be of help, you just let me know. So Mollie, let me know if that makes sense to you in terms of thinking one is broken. To me, it definitely is a doubt. I would never categorize it as something other than that, but it's just one form of doubt. Let me know if you need more to go on with that. Meanwhile, Mollie says, "Oh, Susie, you are my cup of tea with that sort of website." Yeah, it's a great one. And I imagine Mollie's cakes are too. Mollie, we got to arrange a time so I can taste your cakes and I can advertise for you effectively, having had them. Okay, looks like we had a little Instagram problem, so sorry for blanking out there for a minute. Okay, Sylvia says, "Thanks for your patience with me, Dan. Not a problem at all. I will try to be more aware of doubt and work in this column when I get to that place. I can see how to some extent I just give up and resign myself to my quote-unquote fate." We do this with symptoms. This is how, listen, doubt is always looking for these victories. It's looking for these places to rest. If it can convince you that this symptom is not one that can be resolvable once it gets past to a certain point, it has just gained ground. It loves to gain ground and sit on its ground. That's exactly what it wants to do. So we have to be ferocious with doubt. I say this in the seminars. I say this pretty much wherever I go. You have to be very, very determined to beat doubt. And to do that, you have to recognize it. Now, one thing I was saying in the membership groups today is that sometimes doubt hides in a particular place. Well, always hides in a particular place, but this particular place came to mind recently. Sometimes doubt hides by getting you to think you are articulating a doubt, but the reality is you believe that doubt. You think it's true. So if you think that whatever doubt you're having is true, it can hide there indefinitely until you root it out and start talking about the fact that it's not true. Or at least you're going to call it into question. You're going to wonder about it. Okay, Rick Rowan, good to see you here. Catherine Toomer, I see your question. I have one more from YouTube, then I'll bounce back over to you. So this is from Napoleon Villegas. Good to see you, Napoleon. He says, "Hi, Dan. How are you? I'm doing well. Thanks so much. I'm getting better and better. A lot of symptoms inactive." I think that's what you're saying. It looks like there might have been a typo there. But first of all, let me say, I love when people share their success stories. I don't mind when people share the hard parts that they're having. Of course, that's a big part of what I do, so totally fine. But it is really nice to hear people having success stories. Don't get discouraged if you're not having that success yet. It's just about figuring out the recipe for you. But Napoleon, sounds like you're starting to figure it out. When I don't have IBS, I had back pain or forearm pain, but I'm not stressing anymore. I'm working on Let It Be, which is my favorite song, incidentally. And when you hear my interview with Susie, you'll hear that's one of my 4 songs. We can get into that as much as you guys would like to. So that's great, Napoleon. You are coming along and you're recognizing that the pains, the symptoms are starting to get interchangeable. This is another thing that I frequently say. When you're trying to break a chronic issue and now you're starting to get symptoms that change a lot, that's a sign of success. When the symptoms are changing a lot, but it wasn't chronic in the first place, that's just your profile, that is not, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not a sign of progress in the way that chronic conditions that now are shifting all the time is. That shows movement. When there's symptoms you're having that are primarily emotions column, symptoms are going to be shifting all the time because that's the nature of the emotions column. Okay, let's get to a question on Instagram from Catherine Toomer, which is actually about the emotions, so good segue. She says, I'm confused about the emotions. I've had success when I have been able to uncover repressed emotions and see the emotional themes of my life. But I think I have more difficulty relating day-to-day emotions, there's a second part to this, with a pain that has just begun with my plantar fasciitis. I'm not having much success there yet. Okay, I got to read through this again because sometimes I have to soak up the question and really hear what's being asked. I'm confused about the emotions. I've had success. There we go. We got the whole question there. I've had success when I have been able to uncover repressed emotions and see the emotional themes of my life, but I think I have more difficulty relating day-to-day emotions with a pain that has just begun, like my plantar fasciitis. I'm not having much success there yet. Okay, Catherine, I have a question for you first, and then I'll get to answering the bulk of your questions. So let's leave this up there, please. Are you having doubts about the plantar fasciitis? Because remember, I just said, if doubts are there, they will be dominant. So my question to you is, maybe, well, this is an observation. I don't suppose it's not a question, but it could be that when you are having a new symptom, there's too much doubt there to really get in and figure out what's happening for you emotionally yet. That's one theory. I want you to explore it and think about it. But that's something that can happen. If that is what is happening, what I encourage you to do is to focus on the doubt first. Focus on the fact that plantar fasciitis is a mind-body condition. I guarantee it 100%. I've cured it many, many times in many, many people. So if you're not having success identifying the emotion, usually if there's doubt there, it's because doubt is covering it over. And you got to deal with the doubt first, usually. Then you can jump back to emotions. Catherine says, I keep having doubts and then saying no to them. Okay, so this is good, but we may need to keep working at it, Catherine. We might need some science, some logic, some kind of framework that can help you see that this is absolutely the case. So to do that, somebody just asked me in the membership groups today, what am I doing in the doubt column? What's the task? So I was saying, okay, the task, first of all, you start off by not panicking. That's the first thing. Then you check to make sure that you're not believing the doubts are the truth. But primarily, what are you doing in the doubt column? You are articulating the doubts, getting them named, and then you're starting to grapple with them. So what I want you to do, Catherine, is start to articulate those doubts more. You may have already done this, but if you can do it here, we will be able to start to answer them in specific. And if you haven't done that yet, then, okay, so she just said, yes, I should look at those studies you talked about. Yeah, there are studies that do show this sort of thing. You know, but if you think about it, here's another way to combat the doubt potentially that hopefully will be helpful for you. There's no reason to think that plantar fasciitis would be very different than these other things. It's such a similar soft tissue thing that's just being diagnosed with no real reasoning behind why it would have happened when we have the whole mind-body field available to us to show that all of these symptoms are all the same. They just manifest in different ways, whether you're having a trigger somewhere that makes it plausible that you'd have it there or not, or whether that is a particularly worrisome area for you, or whether that's expressing something in the emotional field, like having trouble standing on your own 2 feet. People get plantar fasciitis with that a lot of the time. Not saying that's true for you, Catherine, but that can be. So it's all about addressing the doubt. You got to get it articulated and address it. Okay, we have a question from Bob. 2 days ago, I bought a new car. Now body hurts all over and feels weak. Is this emotions column? Bingo, yes. It's a new symptom that came on from an event that's very plausible. Now, let me continue with that. Let's leave this up there. Bob said, should that be where I look? Not sure, because buying a car should be a happy thing, not a trauma. Okay. Happy events are just as likely to lead to symptoms as unhappy events. Maybe not just as likely, but they are very possibly likely. Just the other day, I just shared this with people in the membership group as well. I was in a meeting, business meeting, and it went very well. And it was just very minor, but I was just kind of shaking a little bit. Happy shaking. That's a symptom. Now, of course, it's not a bad symptom, although on base, I probably would have rather not been shaking and just been able to be present and normal. But here's the thing. Two things. One, a happy event can lead to a symptom just because there's a big feeling involved. But also, a happy event can bring up power column issues, things that are worrisome. Maybe it's not okay for me to have things. It can bring up lots of things. The key variable you want to think about is what has changed between now, before the symptom, and after the symptom, or the timing of the symptom. So you want to think about what has changed. So Bob, you're onto it. This new car, this is one of those examples of taking your body at its word. It might not make sense to you yet, but it's obviously true. Buying that new car did lead to a feeling. So now the question is, what is that? What's the nature of whatever feeling you might be having about it? And let's try to figure it out. It could be, I don't feel that I deserve it. Or it could be, I feel that everything good gets taken away from me. Or it could be that you worry about, you like it, but you're worried, did I make the right choice? I'm not saying any of that is the case, but try to think about what it would be that would be leading to the symptom. Bob, let me know if that makes sense to you. Okay. Pino Lopez has joined us. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. Pine Lopez? Could be lots of different things. Let me know if I'm mispronouncing it. Okay, Molly says, I just do cakes for fun, and my channel is my therapy. Okay, well, great. Enjoy that, but I'd love to hear more about your cakes. They sound delicious. Let It Be is about my mother, Mary. Well, mine and Paul McCartney's. Okay. My mom's name is Mary, and like Paul's is now not on this earth. Well, listen, the song Let It Be has special meaning to me because of its connection to parents doing the job of soothing, which I did not get in a lot of different ways. So I can really relate to that. I'm a huge Beatles fan and a Paul fan especially, but I love them all. So anyways, don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but it is my favorite song, and I'm happy to talk about that at any time. Molly says, plantar fasciitis is so mind-body. I had it for a year after my mom died, but now completely gone. Yeah, it's plantar fasciitis, that pelvic floor pain. What else is really, really in vogue right now? Those are two that come to mind. Carpal tunnel, I think, is starting to fade as people are starting to figure it out more, or just start to question its, if we question its plausibility, it starts to go to a different symptom. Plantar fasciitis is a symptom that can really, and actually pelvic floor pain is the same way. So is back pain. It's so involved in so many things. So if you're walking, if you just walk at all, you could have this idea that, something's wrong with my foot. It's just the kind of thing that can happen. Okay, Mark Campbell says, and good to see you here, Mark. Hi, Dan, this clicked with me. Is my thinking correct? My knee pain is okay at rest. If there was something torn causing pain, it should hurt all the time. Bingo. Nice job, Mark. Yes. Is this the argument for consistently acute? Yes, it is. That's one of many arguments for it. But yes, this is starting to click with you. Now, Mark, you and I know are working on doubt, how to deal with it, and you're finding your way here. This is a piece of the puzzle. I want you to keep working at it because there's going to be other pieces of the puzzle. The more you see how your knee pain, even if it's reproducibly the same in given situations, that's not proof enough. That's just one argument. But as you start to look at this, something that's torn, yeah, it should hurt all the time. All the time. So Mark says, yes. And I think you're really onto something. You are going to start to make gains from such an observation, such an understanding. The more these things click, the more doubt is in trouble. This is big. Well done. Okay, Linda Alarde says, hi, sorry I'm late to the Q&A. You never have to apologize for being late here. The other nice thing is you can actually watch it on recording. So if you missed it, you can get it. But the great thing about being here is you can ask your questions directly. And of course, it's fun to be here live together. So Mark Campbell said I had a nice drop in pain with that. So, okay, here's another piece of evidence. Would pain possibly be able to drop if it wasn't a mind-body issue? No. It's all starting to point in that direction. One of the ways that I say it is, believe it or not, your symptoms are mind-body, almost always. Again, unless connected to a major medical condition, which doctors would catch right away, or a blunt force trauma, which always recovers and heals. So I know it can be hard to believe, but as you test it out, you will find more and more that these things all match up. Mark, you said nope, but I want to make sure I understand what that's in reference to. I lost track of what I was saying. So hopefully that's along the lines of you continuing to make gains. This is going to be big, so keep it up. All right. Bob says power column bingo. Yep. The power column has so many ways that we can move forward. And when I say bingo, it's usually because we're really hitting on something important. And Mark, I'm excited. This is the beginning of something big for you. You may have some doubt creep in, but we'll hammer it. Okay. Yep. Nope. It wouldn't drop. Right. Wouldn't drop without a mind-body thing. So listen, the proof is in the pudding. One of the things I love about the work that I do is that we prove it. We make it happen. And the great thing is all I have to do is talk about it with you. As I talk about it with you, it's like I'm talking to your unconscious mind, and we start to make it conscious. It starts to make sense. It's inevitable that you will get better as we talk about it, as long as you don't give up. That goes back to Diane's question at the beginning. Always find a way to not give up. Okay, Karen Isaac said, oh, wait, hold on. Catherine Toomer, I was supposed to get back to you, wasn't I? All right. Let me get to Karen's question. Then I'll get to you, Catherine. Karen says, yes, Dr. Sarno told me the same about a happy event when I was getting married. I went to Dr. Fliegler, that's Kirsten Fliegler, who was recently on my Crushing Doubt show. Then, because Sarno referred her, my allergies were out of control. Okay, so, it does show you that these symptoms do have an emotional life of their own. If they're connected to something major, some major shift, and by the way, buying a car, that qualifies, Bob. So all major things, positive or negative, can lead to symptom shifting. All right, let's get to Catherine on Instagram. She said, my chronic nausea was so easy to understand as TMS because I have had food eating issues all my life. My brain seems very smart to have chosen nausea for me. Let's see if you say something like that. Okay. Well, listen, your brain's always going to choose a symptom that works best in some way. It could be a symptom that generates the most fear. It could be a symptom that's the most convincing. It could be a symptom that is convenient because it can kind of come and go. It could be a symptom that's attached to your belief system in some way. It could be a symptom, like with Sylvia, the migraines. It might be that symptom was chosen because not only are they scary, but they can convince her, you can't get past it once it gets past to a certain point. Whereas like an ache in the knee, you might not have that thought. It's really interesting what your own thought process is and what your mind then chooses to do. Catherine then says, standing on my own 2 feet has implantar fasciitis. Yes, but more standing up to life daily in the face of my OCD-ish perfectionism and related guilt for not being/doing best at all times. And then Catherine said, you all reconvince me every week. Thanks so much, Dan and Mollie Cakes. Glad that's helpful to you, Catherine. And you know what? As we reconvince you every week, you will become stronger and stronger. Because Mollie's a great example of it. I think, Mollie, you and I worked on this, or at least you did, and you listened to me about it, and got to a place where you started to make more and more steady gains. But really, that's been true with each and every one of you on here. I'm scrolling up the list of people who have talked. You guys are all making gains in a variety of ways. It is just about continuing to have these discussions, continuing to push for more understanding, and you can get there. Okay, Sarah Fire joined. That's Maureen. Good to see you, Maureen. Been a while. Maureen said, I hear perfectionism is a trauma response. That's interesting. It definitely is a trauma response. When I said that's interesting, I didn't mean to suggest it's not. I think perfectionism can potentially come from other sources, but I do think that it is one of the trauma responses. Absolutely. And it makes sense. You know, if people have had trauma, they want to avoid it. And what do they do to avoid it? Be perfect. Don't ever get in any kind of position like that again. That's what they try. When they say they, I mean me. I mean us all, but I am certainly one of them. I'm a perfectionism. And Maureen says, yes, hi, missed this. Great to see you back, Maureen. And please do let me know how I can be of help. The membership groups are up and running. So if you want to come see me there, you can. Or if you want to just come here, you can. Little reminder again, I'm going to be away next week, this particular Monday coming up, which is December 20th. I'll be back on the 27th, and then we'll keep right on rolling. But if you do want to get the membership groups, just let me know. It's dan@crushingdoubt.org. You can let me know if you have questions about them, or you can email Greg at crushingdoubt.org if you know you want to just sign right up. He's the quickest step to that. All right. Mollie Cakes says, what about fibromyalgia, or however you spell it? Okay, fibromyalgia, definitely Mindbody. 100%. Now, I understand how hard it can be to feel confident in certain things, especially symptoms that are shifting around all the time. I would say, and this may be a controversial thing to say, I would say that fibromyalgia doesn't actually exist in a way. Now, I don't mean that the pain doesn't exist or the suffering doesn't exist, but I would say fibromyalgia is a collection of different mind-body experiences that are all kind of melded together. You know what? I shouldn't say that. It's not that it doesn't exist, because it is what I just described. It's a collection of mind-body issues that are melded together, but I just realized as I was saying it, this is one of the ways that doubt bites us. It looks for the way that's going to be convincing. So if it can say to you, well, listen, it can't be anything that, you know, you're going to be able to do something about because the symptoms are always shifting. I mean, you're not going to be able to do anything. That's doubt for you. It is always trying to make you doubt. Doubt is never satisfied with where it is. It wants to make you doubt more. It wants more ground. It wants to bring up new ways to doubt. It wants to build backup ways to doubt. That's what doubt does. It even wants to get you convinced that, oh yeah, you're looking at doubt. Yeah, except you believe it. So if you believe it, it's not going anywhere. It wants to find the most solid places it can to stay. So I went on a little doubt rant there, but hopefully that answers your question, Mollie. Now Mollie had some other comments. Medical docs and such are getting rich off of all this mind-body mess. Let's not talk about stomach upset. LOL. No, that is a taboo topic. Hey, you know, I think we can say that I've done a pretty good job at staying open to it. And you know what? Some of that is because I've worked to fight past my own doubt about that. It was a taboo subject in part because I was like, I don't want to bring it up because I used to think I would jinx something or something like that. Now I believe in the mind-body experience so much that I don't really worry about it so much. But let me jump back to the medical docs getting rich off of all this mind-body mess. I certainly think that it's definitely happening. But one thing that I would say is that many of the medical doctors aren't necessarily trying to get rich off of it. But I don't understand how they're functioning in a way that would be very satisfying to them, because they're doing things that aren't generally working. They're not very intellectually stimulating either. They're treating the body like it's a car. Just, oh yeah, come in, I'll change your carburetor. That just doesn't sound very interesting to me. Okay, Mollie was talking about herself, about the taboo subject. I see. Well, you're doing a pretty good job with it too, from the sounds of things. So I think medical doctors I try to explain this to people. They're trying to give the best explanations they can generally. There are some that are really just bad and are just sitting back making money off of it, and they don't really care. Unfortunately, that is true. But there are also plenty who probably do care, but they just don't have any idea how to do any of this. And I'm not excusing that, because I think they need to be much more curious about their own profession, and they need to take it more seriously, and they need to listen to what's happening. And if there is this idea that stress causes problems, well, then why aren't they talking to psychologists? to find out how does that manifest specifically. One of the reasons they probably aren't is that a lot of psychologists aren't giving good information out about it. I think it's got to get more specific. And that's part of where I come in. I'm getting much more specific about it. Okay, Napoleon has another comment. Speaking of emotion, or question, speaking of emotions, what about playing the victim and the need of the symptoms? A game changer for me was that I noticed that I'm playing the victim and I somehow need the sensation. Okay, Napoleon, this is a great observation. And I want to say something. I want to say a couple things about it. One, let's leave this up here, please. I do not believe that most people, the vast majority of people, are engaged in what is called secondary gain. That is the idea that really came up in medicine, but it's also talked about in psychology a lot, that people want their symptoms in a way, and that's why they won't give them up. So I don't agree with that idea, but I know that's not what you're saying, Napoleon. I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to make sure to highlight that. I think for the most part, people have symptoms for reasons that they really wish they wouldn't. And so we can work to get that. However, Napoleon's pointing out something that may be really important here for some people. And this is in my troubleshooting PDF, which is on our website, www.crushingdoubt.org, which, by the way, is also where you can sign up for the memberships, or you'll be able to sign up for the next seminar when we post the date of that. But one of the things in that troubleshooting document is, because it's a list of all these different kind of ways of thinking about things or traits that people can have that can sometimes hold us back. And one of them is having more interest in empathy for your suffering than in getting rid of the problem. It's totally understandable that you guys want empathy, and I will give lots and lots of it. You know, you deserve it. It's very hard. Totally understand it. Just don't ever make that more primary than figuring out why you're having the symptoms. The goal needs to be uniformly get rid of the symptoms. Don't worry about the empathy. I'll give you the empathy anyway. And if people are not giving you the empathy, you don't have to work with them. I totally understand it. But if you are in a situation where you're feeling that you are kind of thinking of yourself in victim mode, think about the power column. That brings your power column down. You can think of yourself, I wouldn't say as a victim. I would say accept the fullness of your trauma. Very different than being a victim. That accepts what your suffering was, but also built into the core narrative is, well, what are you going to do about it so that you're not a victim? You're going to change it. You're going to start to bend the world to your will. So hopefully that was helpful. A helpful way of thinking about it. And Napoleon, if that was kind of along the lines of what you were saying, just let me know. Okay, Linda Alarde said, we label feelings as happy or sad, bad, scary, and expect our body to agree. I know my nervous system doesn't evaluate feelings according to any good, bad criteria. It just reacts to intense feeling. Really great observation, Linda. Our conscious experience and our unconscious, but it's us that's labeling the feeling, whether it's good or not. And the reality is your nervous system doesn't actually care about that. What your nervous system does care about is survival. And it cares about survival even from an emotional standpoint. So if something feels dangerous, it's going to get activated. And that's why I like trauma work here. Trauma work takes it away from the language more of good and bad and more danger and safety, validity or invalidity, really big topics that describe, are you okay or not? We ask people how this is something we say every day. How are you? But we often don't even mean it. Where that's like a new way of saying hello in today's society. You have to ask, how are you again for it to even register that people are actually wanting to know. But we need to ask that questions of ourselves. I recently I walk into my own therapy sessions. My therapist asks me, how are you? And I say, I don't know. I got to think about that because there's so many things going on that I really do have to think about it. Okay, Molly has an observation here. We're going to finish up on these. She says, actually, the vitamin pushers are gaining the most financially, scaring people to think they are not doing the right thing to feel better. So I do agree with Mollie that the idea of fear is driving a lot of things. Watch out for fear. So many people are trying to hand you their fears, and that's handing you doubt. Okay, Linda Lardy says, for Beatles fans, the movie Yesterday is well worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I loved it. Totally loved it. And I agree. Thank you, Linda. And Mollie says it's streaming somewhere. I can't remember where that is, but we'll find out. So Mollie says, in reality, we are not even here, but that is another show and topic. LOL. All right. That's deep, Mollie. We're getting into the matrix here. So we will we'll continue with that. I'm very interested to hear what you think about that. Now, Napoleon says, and I'll finish up on this. Yes, you are right. I guess I should finish up. I'm kidding. Everybody wants to be right. I won't finish up there. He says, yes, you are right. I was thinking about the secondary gain theory, and I really don't like it. In my case, was that in my home, being sick was the only way to get some love from my family. But just in my case. So listen, that's an important point. This is a great illustration of what I'm talking about. There could be some gain from having the symptom, but I am not at all. Listen, you guys know me. I'm not a cynical person. Generally, I have my moments, but and my areas that I'm cynical. But I think in general, I think that people are really just trying to get what they need, and that was the case for you, Napoleon. This is a great example of how somebody could call it secondary gain. It's complete garbage. Absolutely not. Very, very few people are engaged in anything with secondary gain. They just want to be loved. Okay, Linda Lardy says, Mollie Cakes, it uploads to YouTube later in terms of the movie Yesterday. That's cool. All right, Miralay says, hi, Dan, I'm late, but looking forward to the replay. Okay, so Mira, catch us on the replay because we're gonna wrap up for tonight. Guys, it is always a pleasure. Again, just a reminder, I will be away next week for the Q&A, but I'm back the following week, December 27th, and I'll keep right on rolling at the same time. In the meantime, if you are in need of some help, you can email me, dan@crushing.org. You can email greg at crushing.org. Both of us can get you signed up for the membership groups. That's the best way to get very quick responses from me to get your moment-to-moment experience looked at. If you haven't done the seminars, I really would consider signing up for the one that's coming up. That, again, it'll be in late January or early February. We haven't set the date yet, but I want you just to have it on your radar because that's a way that you can get a full comprehensive view of the system. And that allows you to do even better work when you get to the membership groups. Even for people who want to like come on the podcast and do the individual sessions, which you can let me know if you're interested in that. It's much more helpful if you've actually had the seminar under your belt and even some membership group work that can run concurrently. So let's keep up the good work, guys. I'm proud of you all. I look forward to continuing this journey with you. Mark Campbell says thank you. So is Pat's Dynasty. Good to see you on here. I've seen some comments from you, but first time on the chat here. And Bob says thank you, Dan. Great Q&A. Happy holidays. Shine on till tomorrow. Let it be. That's great. Perfect way to end, Bob. I couldn't have said it better myself. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and I look forward to it. Happy holidays, everybody. Talk to you soon.